Hello and welcome back to Animated Literacy. This is lesson number 8 from the basic lessons in the Story, Song, and Action book. And in lesson 8, we're going to be introducing Mimi Mermaid along with her complete story and her sound and her gesture. Before we do that, a couple quick housekeeping things. Here's our chart that we need to have up of all of our characters. And originally we put it up all in black and white, but now gradually we're starting to change it to color. So we now know Polly Panda's complete story and song and her gesture. We know Uncle Upton's story and song, and we have learned Ollie Ostrich's story and song. So each time we learn a complete story and song, we'll change that to color so that the children can track their progress and they can look at the chart and know which of those characters they're responsible for knowing the song and story for. So before we go into Mimi Mermaid, as always, we're going to practice some of our sounds. So here's Dr. Ollie Ostrich. What do you do when you see Ollie Ostrich? He asks you to say, ah. So his verse for Are You Sleeping goes, are you a doctor? Are you a doctor? Ollie Ostrich, Ollie Ostrich. Ollie's bells are saying, Ollie's bells are saying, ah, 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 ah. Vowel. How do you know that's a vowel? Because it doesn't have a partner. It's like the cheese. It stands alone. Polly, are you painting? Are you painting? Polly Panda, Polly Panda. Polly's bells are saying, Polly's bells are saying, ping pong, ping, ping pong, ping. Consonant. How do you know that's a consonant? It has an ing and an ong, so it has a partner with it. Are you upside down? Are you upside down? Uncle Upton, Uncle Upton. Uncle's bells are saying, Uncle's bells are saying, uh, 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 uh. Vowel. How do you know? It's like the cheese. It stands alone. Are you tickling? Are you tickling? Timmy Tiger, Timmy Tiger. Timmy's bells are saying, Timmy's bells are saying, ting tong ting, ting tong ting. Consonant. Well, now we talked about in one of our last lessons that we don't always have to use bells. We can begin to use other things that make a sound. So we started to make a chart, and here I have a chart, and this time I titled it, What Sounds Can We Make? When I first introduced this, I gave it a title of Nouns We Can Read, Write, and Draw, but I decided to change it to this other title for today, but you can use any title that you like. So we started out with bells that say ding dong. So we've been using those in Are You Sleeping? But now we're going to also use the pup, and the pup goes bark, bark. So if we have bark and we look at Timmy Tiger sound, just like we did with the bells, we're going to take the consonants off of the front. So if we have bark and we take away the consonant b, we have ark left. And then if we put in Timmy Tiger instead of the dark sound, then it becomes tark tark. So let's do Timmy Tiger for our pups. Are you tickling? Are you tickling? Timmy Tiger, Timmy Tiger. Timmy's pups are saying, Timmy's pups are saying, tark tark tark, tark tark tark. Are you laying on lemon leaves? Are you laying on lemon leaves? Lizzie Lamb, Lizzie Lamb. Lizzie's pups are saying, Lizzie's pups are saying, lark, 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 lark. Are you rowing? Are you rowing? Old Joe Crow, Old Joe Crow. Joe's pups are saying, Joe's pups are saying, oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. Why didn't we change that? He said oh for bells, and now he's still saying oh for pups. Oh, that's because it's a vowel and it stands alone, okay? Are you grouchy? Are you grouchy? Grouchy owl, grouchy owl. Owl's bells are saying, owl's bells are saying, ow, ow, ow. Ow, ow, ow. So remember, our owl bumped his head on Brown Mouse's door, and when he bumped his head while chasing the mouse, he went ow. So that was his sound. And kids would say vowel because there's no arc and there's no ing and ong with it. Are you dancing? Are you dancing? Daisy dragon, Daisy dragon. Daisy's pups are saying, Daisy's pups are saying, dark, 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 dark. So now we can go along and we can start to play with these. We can also go back and forth very quickly. So if I go, Daisy's pups are saying, dark, dark, dark. Daisy's bells are saying, ding, dong, ding. Winky's pups are saying, wark, wark, wark. Winky's bells are saying, wing, wong, wing. Rosie's pups are saying, rark, rark, rark. Rosie's bells are saying, ring, rong, ring. So you can start to speed up the process a little bit and make it a little bit more challenging by quickly going back and forth and just doing the last line of the song. Okay, so before we go into Mimi Mermaid, I would start to access our prior knowledge. So asking the children, have you ever seen a mermaid? Where have you seen a mermaid? Oh, I saw a mermaid in a Disney film. And what did the mermaid do there? What's different between a mermaid and a person? Well, what would a person have here? A person would have feet, but what does a mermaid have? A mermaid has a tail instead. And what else does this mermaid have? Mimi has a mop, and here's a little mouse up on the mop, and we're going to learn why that mouse is there a little bit later. And what is she playing? Mimi is playing a mandolin, and I have a mandolin here. And she likes to play merry little tunes on her mandolin, and this is what a mandolin sounds like. And a mandolin has 8 strings, but they're in sets. So these 2 strings are the same. These 2 are the same. And those 2 are the same. So it plays like it has 4 strings, even though it has 8. And this is just called either a flat pick, or some people call it a plectrum. And it's what I use for fretting the strings. And it has a kind of a merry little sound to it. So Mimi Mermaid loves to play merry little tunes like I just played on her mandolin. And here she is playing those merry tunes on her mandolin. And next to her is a mop, and this is a magic mop, and it's not just any old mop. It's not just for mopping floors, it's for doing all sorts of special things. And Mimi can make wishes, and most of those wishes will come true with her mop, except for one. In Mirror Lake, where Mimi Mermaid lives, there are many mosquitoes that buzz around. And those mosquitoes buzz around Mimi's ears, and sometimes they bite her tender skin, and Mimi's magic mop won't do anything to stop the mosquitoes. Well, fortunately for Mimi, in Mirror Lake, there are all these little tiny fish called minnows. And minnows like to munch mosquitoes. But the minnows are afraid of these mighty monsters that live up on the mountain next to Mirror Lake. And so Mimi has made a special deal with her minnow friends. Mimi's magic mop works on the monsters, and it can melt them into harmless mice. And so Mimi protects the minnows from the monsters, and the monsters protect Mimi from the mosquitoes. So one day, here were these monsters, and they're marching down Mammoth Mountain, hoping that they're going to munch on lots of tender little minnows. So when Mimi hears the stomping of the monsters coming down the mountain, she gets out her magic mop. She starts moving it back and forth like this. And as she moves it back and forth, the monsters try to cover up their ears so they can't hear it, but they can't get that sound out of their head. And that sound causes them to melt into harmless little mice. And then they scamper back up the mountain, and as soon as they're gone, Mimi Mermaid gets her magic mandolin back out, starts playing that magical music again, and the minnows go back to munching the mosquitoes. So whenever you see our picture of Mimi Mermaid, I want you to think about Mimi Mermaid moving her magic mop back and forth and go, Mm. And if we put Mimi Mermaid's sound into Are You Sleeping, it would sound like this. Are you moving a magic mop? Are you moving a magic mop? Mimi Mermaid, Mimi Mermaid. Mimi's bells are saying, Mimi's bells are saying, Ming mong ming, Ming mong ming. Mimi's pups are saying, Mimi's pups are saying, Mark, 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 Mark. Now, just like our other characters, she has a special song. So let me teach you the words and the gestures for Mimi Mermaid song. And it goes like this. Get out your magic mop. Or you could actually, let's do it this way. Let's show that a mermaid kind of swims along like this. So show me your mermaid like this. Me, me, mermaid, me, me, mermaid. Now get out your magic mop. Moving her magic mop. Moving her magic mop. As Mimi moves her magic mop. As Mimi moves her magic mop. Now show me marching like this. The monsters march to mud. Now show me how you can make Mimi Mermaid's letter M with your hands, your fingers, with your body. And I sometimes make it kind of like this. So you've got one part coming down and another part coming down in the middle and then another part coming back up. But you can see how many different ways you can make Mimi sound. M's for Mimi, moving her magic mop. M's for Mimi, moving her magic mop. She marches monsters into mud. She marches monsters into mud and melts them into mice, squeak, squeak, and melts them into mice. So you could be those squeaky little mice. So now let's try that again, only this time we'll do it along with our tape recording. And let me see if you can remember some of those motions that we did while we were singing it. Okay, so here's Mimi Mermaid. Mimi Mermaid, moving her magic mop. As Mimi moves her magic mop, the monsters march to mud. M's for Mimi, moving her magic mop. She marches monsters into mud and melts them into mice. Now, I have some favorite books that we could read that kind of go along with this. This is a special one called Three Little Mermaids, and it is written by Mara Van Fleet, and she is married to Matthew Van Fleet, and we used his book Dog, and we've used, and we'll be using a lot of his books when we're looking for adjectives to describe our pictures that we're drawing and verbs to name how they can move. And this one has some great descriptive words in it. And it also kind of moves along. So here's that tail moving back and forth. And it goes like this. Three little mermaids who lived in the sea decided to invite all their sea friends to tea. So it's got some nice rhymes in there. One friendly octopus brought some sticky treats. Two pinching crabs were anything but sweet. And here's the crabs. And you can, if I can make this move right, you can see their pinchers going back and forth like this. So that's a great book to use along with Mimi Mermaid. This one I really like. This is about Clive Monster. And it is written by Robert Crow. And in this book, there's a monster who is afraid of people. Mostly, we think people being afraid of monsters. And he's afraid that people might be hiding under his bed and going to jump out and scare him when he goes to sleep. So he's afraid of the dark. But his parents tell him, well, that monsters have made a special deal with people. And if people won't scare monsters, then the monsters won't scare the people. So he decides, okay, that's okay, I'll go to sleep. But would you just leave the rock to my cave open just a little bit? Now that story reminds me a little bit of one that we'll do much later in the program. that I wrote for Victor Vampire. And we think sometimes that vampires are scary things, but Victor Vampire is very much like Clive Monster. He's afraid of people. So you can take a look at that story to see how Clive Monster and Mimi and Victor Vampire are alike. And here's another fun one about monsters. This is called 5 Ugly Monsters. And it's based on another old rhyme that was rewritten. That the old one was 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped his head. Mama called the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. Well, this author decided, and this was written by Ted Arnold, and he decided, let's make it monsters jumping on the bed. So this one goes, 5 ugly monsters jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped his head. Called for the doctor, and the doctor said, no more monsters jumping on the bed. So just like we're doing with our songs, they changed the words and made up a brand new song. So now when we think of Mimi Mermaid and you go back to your seat, I'm going to give you a picture of Mimi Mermaid along with her gesture. And so here's the page that you'll receive. And here's Mimi Mermaid's capital M and her small m. So you can take out your crayons and do your rainbow writing over the top of those. And then we have Mimi Mermaid's song that you can sing over and over and over again. And then here's the motion that we used to gesture her sound. So after you have done your rainbow writing for Mimi Mermaid, you can turn your page over on the back. And I want you to think of something from Mimi Mermaid's song that is story that is kind of like you. Maybe you have a favorite instrument that you like to listen to or that you like to play. So you could draw me a picture and then you could write a sentence about that, or you can wait for me to come and write the sentence. Or maybe you have a mop that you have to use for cleaning up. So you could tell me about a time when maybe something was spilled and you used your mop to clean up. Or maybe you can think of something that melts. Monsters in real life wouldn't melt, but what can you think of that does melt? Maybe you've had some ice cream melt. Maybe you've had ice cubes melt. So you could write about that. So think of something that you know that you can write about on the back of your page, and then I'll come and help you by either writing a sentence or you can read the sentence that you have written to me. Now, just like with all of our characters, if you want to make the lesson a little bit more challenging, you can go to the review lessons for Mimi Mermaid. And there you'll find that in the book of songs and stories to read is in large print for Mimi Mermaid's song. And so now, instead of me tracking the song, the children can track it, and you can make those into a book so that each child would have their copy. And here's my example of that. So all of those can go into a book, and we can just put on the recorder and everybody can track the songs. We also have a page in the book of songs and stories to read that has all of the words to Mimi Mermaid's story, and then it describes her gesture, and then there's 2 sets of songs. So again, you can ask those orally if you're working with younger children, or if you're working with older children, they can read the story to themselves and then they can, in writing, answer the questions. And then in the advanced workbook, there's a complete puzzle for Mimi Mermaid's song, and so the children can cut out those pieces, put them back into the correct order, and then they could look for a topic here that they want to write about. So here are some topics: monsters, magic, mops, marching, mice, things that melt. So you have lots of choices there that children could write about on the back of their page. So thank you very much for listening to Mimi Mermaid's song and story. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will look forward to seeing you in our next lesson.